let's get real for a second. If you've ever found yourself texting an ex just to feel something, or crocheting slippers while wondering why your man doesn't look at you like he used to, then sit down, we've got some things to unpack. You see, we live in a world that tells women to be everything at once. Be soft, but sexy. Be nurturing, but independent. Cook dinner, crush goals, look perfect, feel calm. And somewhere between trying to inspire a man and trying to keep him from vanishing into the bathroom for emotional exile, we lose ourselves. This isn't just about love. It's about what happens when we wrap our entire lives around one man like he's the last oxygen tank on the ship. It's about the difference between feminine strength and emotional overexposure. And it's about how the very thing you think keeps him close might be what's pushing him away. So, let me tell you a story, or 5. About what happens when we confuse obsession for intimacy, when we chase instead of attract, and what it really means to be the kind of woman a man doesn't just want but respects. Should you stay in touch with your ex? Honestly, no. Avoid it like you'd avoid a pothole on the freeway in a sports car. The more you talk, the slower you pull away from the whole mess. It's not healing, it's some slow drip emotional torture, like yanking a band-aid off a hairy leg 1 millimeter at a time. Want my advice? Rip it off fast and clean. Let me tell you a quick story. Years back, I thought I was having heart issues. So I dragged myself to the doctor, thinking I might get some dramatic diagnosis, maybe even something presidential. You know, the kind that makes everyone go quiet in the waiting room. Anyway, the doc tells me to undress and says he's going to slap one of those sticky monitors on me. No problem, until it rips out half my body hair on the way off. Top half? Bald as a bowling ball. Lower half? Like a wool sweater. Nothing sticks. That's what it feels like, trying to stay connected to someone who should be in your past. Half smooth, half tangled. Totally ridiculous. Now why am I telling you all this? Because it's dangerous to keep reaching out. It doesn't help. It just reopens wounds that need to close. Don't call. Don't text. Don't ask, how are you? That's not kindness, it's a trap. Because deep down, what you're really doing is clinging to the hope that maybe, just maybe, things will turn around. But let's be real, that's fear talking. Fear of being alone. Fear of nothing better showing up. You start whispering little things like, maybe it'll change, maybe they'll come back. That's not love. That's madness with a memory. Look, I've seen people delete each other from every corner of their digital lives. Gone from contacts, blocked on socials, photos wiped clean like a crime scene. It feels brutal, sure. But you know what hurts worse? Keeping pieces of someone who's no longer there. That's its own kind of slow bleed. So don't save those albums just in case. Don't scroll through memories like you're reliving your glory days. Toss them. Burn them if you have to. Make a ceremony out of it. Don't give those images the power to rewind your healing. No, it's not like losing someone to the afterlife. That's a whole different kind of grief. But even then, sitting around staring at their photos for 4 years won't bring peace. It just loops the pain. And listen, no offense to tradition, but even cemeteries aren't great for your soul. Yeah, I said it. There's a heaviness there. You walk in feeling fine, walk out carrying 1,000 stories you didn't ask for. Unless it's a peaceful place, like some quiet hilltop where poets rest, it's probably best to stay away from the graveyard vibes. If you've lost someone, honor them. Let their memory live in the way you treat people, not in the way you haunt old photos or sit on cold benches. That kind of attachment, it's not healing. It's stagnation. So if you're trying to move on, really move on, cut the cords clean. Don't stall. Don't drag it out. Let the past be the past. Otherwise, you'll never make room for the future. I've got my own take on this whole staying in touch with your ex debate. You ever seen those movies where the tree is some magical symbol? Like, that's the house we met in. That's the forest. That's the stove. That flower's been blooming for 4 years straight, that must be love. Yeah, well, if you start diving into those memories too deep, you'll go nuts. Like, actually talking to clouds level of nuts. That's what happens when you don't exit a relationship, you just build a shrine to it and keep feeding the flame. And no, that doesn't mean you have to run off and marry the next person you meet. But you've got to put some distance between yourself and the past. That's survival. What's not survival? Using the situation to get sympathy or attention. That's just emotional limbo with extra steps. You're in the no contact phase now. That's important. And during this stage, you need a support system badly. I'm talking real people, friends, siblings, even that weird neighbor who always has snacks. You need a team. You need someone to pull you out when your mind starts spiraling at 2 a.m. Let me tell you a story. I knew a guy, modern guy, smart guy, his wife was in the hospital after surgery. So what does he do? He builds a care team for her like it's a startup. No joke. Called her friends, scheduled visits, even organized who'd bring oranges. By the second week, about 80 people had shown up, all cheering her up. She got love from people she didn't even know she needed. And yeah, she picked one of those folks as her favorite, not her husband. Go figure. But the point? She recovered. Because love, even in odd forms, heals. Community heals. Being seen and supported heals. That's what matters. Now let's say you're the one in the hospital, figuratively or literally. You're lying there, maybe in a pretty rough place, and someone knocks on the door. Not even someone close, just someone. In that moment, they feel like an angel. That presence? That's gold. That's what we need to bring back, people showing up. So if your friend's going through it, be that presence. Don't overthink it. Just show up. Call your crew. Say, hey, Lisa's going through it. Can we step in? Doesn't need to be therapy. Just connection. Too many of us forget we can do that, rally around each other. Instead, we try distractions, dinner invites, movie nights, casual hangouts that don't touch the real issue. That's fine, but it's step 4, not step 1. The real work? It starts with being willing to listen. Just shut up and listen. That's stage 1. Let her cry. Let her rant. Then build from there. But here's the part most people avoid. What if you have kids with your ex? What if you still need to sort things out? Who gets the kids on weekends? Can he visit? Will he show up? Of course he will. And of course you'll still have to deal with it. But don't drag it out longer than needed. The worst thing you can do is use the courts or the calendar to try to win the breakup. You don't win by fighting, you win by freeing yourself. Fast. Believe me, half the people I talk to are doing the opposite. They're caught up in courtroom drama, financial chess games, petty revenge. It doesn't fix anything. It just traps them deeper. Let go sooner. You'll breathe better. I promise. One of the classic mistakes I see women make in relationships? Trying too hard. I mean that being overly clingy, overly available, overly everything. Ladies, take notes. The more you chase, the more he runs. That's just how it works. When a woman becomes overly active in the relationship, the guy tends to become passive. Always. Every time. You want to hear something wild? Today I had one of those "what is even happening" moments online. I came across this quick video, just a 3-minute clip from some talk or seminar. You know the kind, where the full thing costs half a paycheck, but they give you the trailer for free. Anyway, this one woman had gone full keyboard warrior in the comments. 19 comments. All from her. No responses. Just her unloading like it was a personal diary. And it got intense, lot of profanity, lot of bitterness. Her message? Don't believe a word any man says. They're all the same. Selfish types. She went on about how she gave 15 years of her life to some guy. Did everything for him. Bought him a car so he wouldn't feel embarrassed in front of his buddies. Motivated him to start a business. And then he left her. For a classmate, apparently. And she just kept going. Post after post. My fingers were itching to type something back, but I held off. Honestly, I just wanted to ask her one thing: what were you waiting for? That after 15 years, he'd suddenly wake up, transformed by divine inspiration into the man you always hoped he'd be? Let me be real here. Behind every successful guy, there's often a strong woman, but behind every guy who turns out selfish, entitled, and lazy, there's usually someone who enabled it for way too long. Who tried to love him into being better when he never wanted to change. This stuff happens all the time. A woman tries so hard to hold the relationship together that she forgets she's not supposed to carry the whole thing on her own. She overwhelms the guy with affection, constant calls, reminders, and attention. And guess what? That doesn't build closeness, it creates distance. Relationships thrive in space. Sometimes you need to let him miss you. When a woman steps away, even just for a little while, something shifts. Suddenly, he starts wondering where you are, what you're up to, and why it feels a little emptier without you. But instead, a lot of women panic. They think, if I don't call, he'll forget I exist. So they flood his phone with messages like, I love you so much, just thinking about you, can't wait to talk again. And yeah, maybe he humors it at first. But let me give you a little secret, when a man is working, he's working. He's not emotionally available for 20 back-to-back check-ins. Worse is when women start trying to infiltrate guy spaces. Like, oh, you're going to the gym with your buddies? I'll come too. What's the harm? I'll just sit quietly and observe. Girl, no. That's not bonding. That's surveillance. Let the man have his space. You want to know what really inspires a man? Peace. Respect. A woman who knows when to step back, not just step up. Let him come to you. Let him miss your voice, your energy, your presence. You're not supposed to be his shadow. You're supposed to be his fire, and fire doesn't follow, it draws people in. You ever wonder why some women get so wrapped up in a man's life? Like, they have their own lives technically, but suddenly everything becomes about him. Every thought, every plan, every dream, it's all built around this one guy. That's a serious misstep. Let me tell you something important, no man can be your everything. He just can't. And it's not because he's flawed or selfish, it's because he's human. A relationship with a man should be just one part of your life, not the entire blueprint. When you treat your guy like he's your boyfriend, best friend, therapist, parent, career coach, gym buddy, and emotional support dog all rolled into one, he's going to crack. And not gently. That man's hanging by emotional duct tape, and one more demand is gonna send him off the grid. I've seen it happen. A woman gets married and suddenly thinks, alright, time to squeeze everything I need from life out of this one guy. No outside friends. No hobbies. No community. Just him. And him? He's left blinking in confusion, wondering why he suddenly has to wear every emotional hat in the closet. But here's the thing, love isn't a one-vitamin cure. You need different kinds of relationships in your life, friends who challenge you, family who ground you, mentors who push you. If you toss all that aside and latch onto one man as your entire emotional ecosystem, well, don't be surprised if he starts gasping for air. So yeah, if you've got a guy, love him. Be there for him. Build something real together. But don't turn him into a vending machine for every feeling, every need, every piece of validation you crave. That's not love. That's emotional codependency dressed up like romance. He's not your everything. He's your partner. Big difference. Let's talk about how a woman draws a man in, because really, it happens in two ways. When a woman is disconnected from the deep, rounded power of her femininity, from her nurturing nature, her emotional intelligence, her quiet strength, she often feels like she has to overcompensate. She kicks her sensual energy into overdrive, thinking that's the only way to hold a man's attention. But that's a trap. There are two types of energy at play here, call them the lunar and the Venusian. The lunar energy is all about softness, empathy, warmth, loyalty, emotional depth. It's the kind of quiet presence that makes a man feel safe, seen, and at home. The Venusian energy? That's attraction, sexuality, visual charm, think spark, not depth. Now don't get me wrong, both have their place. But here's the kicker, in today's world, we've all but forgotten the value of those lunar traits. Society doesn't reward emotional support. It doesn't cheer for kindness or inner calm. And because of that, women are often left believing the only card they can play is allure. That if they're not bold, flashy, and a little provocative, they'll be invisible. And that's a damn shame. Because here's the truth, when a woman knows how to sit in her feminine strength, when she builds herself a community, a life, and a support system that doesn't hinge on a single man, she becomes magnetic in a different way. She doesn't need to sell herself. She doesn't need to push or perform. But if a woman doesn't feel protected emotionally, financially, or socially, she starts to sell access to herself. Not always literally, but emotionally. She trades her peace for attention. Her body for validation. That's not femininity. That's desperation wearing lipstick. Men? We're not wired to look for that kind of energy long term. A man wants two things at once: he wants to feel powerful, and he wants to feel emotionally moved. It's that weird mix of primal instinct and hero syndrome. He wants to feel desire and dignity at the same time. And when a woman shows up in her true, calm, grounded self, that's what makes him want to stay. Not chase. Stay. But too many women pour everything into one man. They stop nurturing their other relationships. They give up their own interests. They expect him to be their father, their best friend, their therapist, and their cheerleader. He's not built for that. No one is. Eventually, he breaks emotionally, mentally, or literally. And then she's left saying, "I gave him everything, and he still left." No, sweetheart. You gave up everything else and tried to live through him. That's the problem. You need different kinds of love in your life. Different vitamins for your soul. One man can't give it all. And if you try to squeeze it all out of him like he's some emotional vending machine, he'll eventually disappear. Or worse, he'll stay and shut down. So stop looking for a man to fill every role. Look for one to walk beside you. And in the meantime, fill your own world with the kind of love that doesn't depend on anyone else to survive. You know, sometimes I think about asking for advice. But not yet. I've got someone in my life, a good woman. And when the time's right, I'll ask the people I trust. Until then, I'm sitting with my thoughts. Now let's talk about something that's been on my mind: the way society sees women today, especially the difference between those quiet, steady qualities and the fiery, flashy ones. We've flipped the script. The subtle, moon-like side of femininity? That used to be sacred. Now, it's barely noticed. You turn on the TV, scroll through magazines, swipe through videos, it's all about the shine. The sizzle. The Venus vibe. Glamorous hair, flashy clothes, high drama. Doesn't matter if there's depth behind it, if it looks good, it sells. But that lunar quality? The nurturing, calm, supportive kind of woman? Society's shelved it like an outdated recipe. That doesn't mean passion is bad. Not at all. It has its place. It sparks interest. It draws the eye. But here's the problem: when things get unbalanced, when the Venus energy overshadows everything else, it turns extreme. It becomes a performance, not a presence. We all know that woman. The one who dove so deep into the homemaker role she forgot to bring any heat. She's the queen of casseroles and crocheted slippers, but somewhere in the fog of knit tank tops and fuzzy bathrobes, she lost the spark. Walks around like a ship's wheel, sturdy, predictable, and completely stationary. And the guy? He's standing there, looking up at the stars, wondering where the thrill went. There's got to be a blend. A little mystery, a little comfort. A little fire, a little calm. A man doesn't just want passion, and he doesn't just want peace. He wants both, something that excites him and anchors him at the same time. But in today's world, we've gone extreme. One side or the other. Too much softness, and she fades into the background. Too much flash, and she burns out the moment she enters the room. Balance, my friend. That's where the magic lives. So if any of this hit a nerve, good. It means you're waking up. You're done bending over backwards, done being the emotional Swiss Army knife for someone who barely knows how to say thank you. And maybe, just maybe, you're ready to stop calling it love when it's actually just fear in a fancy outfit. But don't go spinning your wheels just yet. You've heard the stories, now it's time to dig into the real tools. In the next video, I'll show you exactly how to stop overgiving, how to regain your center, and how to become the kind of woman a man doesn't just desire but never dares take for granted. Every question you've been too afraid to ask? Yeah, it's waiting for you there. So hit that play button. I'll be right here, telling you the truth, one unfiltered story at a time.